will be talking about the situation with the implementation of production sharing agreement with Chevron. We'll be talking to Dmytro Kashchuk, head of Ukraine State Service for Geology and Subsoil, Yaroslav Klymovych, Nadra of Ukraine. Esteemed participants, as you know, in 2013, as to Oleska area, Ivano-Frankivsk and Lvivska region, there was a PSA between Ukraine and the American energy company Chevron, and Nadra Oleska executed. According to that, until today, until the 18th of November 2014, the state had to execute all the conditions for the beginning of implementation of the agreement. Yesterday, on the 17th of November, the government officially informed Chevron that all the conditions for the beginning of the implementation were executed by the state. This fact proves that Ukraine has become a reliable partner for investors. Ukraine, not in words, but really takes care about its energy independence and security in this time when within this year, we had the revolution of dignity. We have the anti-terrorist operation. We had the early elections of the president of Ukraine and parliament. We have changes in the government. The state fully executed its commitments. Now, during 30 days, we expect to get answer from Chevron, and the company will hopefully recognize that the state has satisfactorily executed its commitments. We need to mention that in such difficult period of time, all the branches of power, administration of the President, National Bank of Ukraine, and Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine have worked in good coordination. According to the agreement, the special permit for use of subsoil for Chevron and Nadra Oleska was issued. There were amendments to tax code implemented. There was an authorized body on PSA for Oleska area identified, and that is the Ministry of Energy and Coal. There were amendments introduced to currency legislation, according to which the investor within the PSA can conduct its currency financial activity in accordance with the law of Ukraine on PSA. There were some regulatory acts passed on taxation. We now are expecting to get an answer from investors, and we expect signing of operational agreement. And I would like now Yaroslav to say a few words about how the work is going on implementing the agreement. So in accordance with the agreement on production sharing agreement, the Chevron company during the next 5 years is committed to conduct the geology survey of the area, which includes seismic works, pilot production, and we understand that this means millions of dollars of U.S. direct investments into Ukrainian economy, as well as into social and environmental projects of our state. So there is a necessity to execute all the conditions as to investor, which is executing the agreement on operational activity. With the desire to speed up the process of negotiation, the representatives of Nadra Ukraine, as the founder of Nadra Oleska, conducted negotiations with Chevron on operational agreement. The negotiation period was not simple. There were many contradictions. A big dialogue was going on, but we have discussed practically all the key conditions as to this operational activity, and we hope that in the nearest future we will achieve certain compromise, and we will approve the final version, which will, first of all, protect the interests of the state. However, Nadra continues to put all efforts so that we reach this final version, and the success of executing the operational agreement depends on the desire of Chevron company to consider compromise proposals of Ukrainian side to resolve all the disputes which we have in the process of negotiations, and to execute the agreement on terms which are beneficial for both parties. You've mentioned about some disputable issues. Which were the issues which were discussed most and which were argued against most? The operational agreement is the confidential agreement, and the terms which are there we cannot discuss now. These are the issues we are now trying to protect the interests of the state. So you're conducting the negotiations with the investor. Ukraine values all the investors, taking into account this difficult economic situation, but at the same time, we see the outflow of investments from Ukraine. To what extent is Chevron ready to invest into Ukraine now in the period of such unstable situation? It's difficult for me to answer this question. I believe you need to ask Chevron company about that. But the state creates all conditions for the investor to feel free on the territory of Ukraine. Any other questions? Yesterday, I watched a program, one TV program. If we sign agreements with everyone like that, then there's very little probability that Chevron will be working with us. Why? Because of corruption. The corruption and corruption again. They're not talking about anything else. And I don't know if you would overcome it. The fact of corruption can stop investor. I don't understand what corruption do you mean. Where was the corruption component in the agreement on operational activity with Chevron company? On what terms? We're saying that the state is creating conditions. There is already the agreement on production sharing agreement executed, but now the operation agreement is being discussed, and we cannot talk about details because of the confidentiality of the agreement. We believe that Ukraine has fulfilled all its commitments to Chevron company. Any other questions? Q Club, Svetlana Mizina, but why do you think this operational agreement, its execution was postponed? We have another company, Shell. They're more mobile and they're operating. Where was it delayed in time? Were there political risks considered? Or maybe Chevron is thinking about their final decisions. I know that last month you were in London, you had negotiations. Do you discuss the issue of SPKG service leaving Nadra Aleska? So talking about the time frame for operational agreement, the Aleska company received it in the end of 2013. So practically the specialists of Nadra Aleska and Nadra Ukraina They provided all their comments in the middle of February, and you understand what processes were taking place in our state. It's difficult for me to say, it's difficult to comment, but that is the question to Chevron. We were doing everything to speed up the process and to finalize the operational agreement which we can sign. But I believe that these processes which are taking place in the country, they somehow influence the situation, and that's why it's delayed. As to Geoservice, in accordance with the instructions of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, we had the meeting of Nadra company, and we were, and Geoservice was offered, we offered Geoservice to leave the agreement, and we received a negative response, and we're looking for the correct legal mechanisms, and we're trying to get rid of that participant who live in legal the state where the law is respected, and that's why we're looking for these legal means. Could you please tell, do I understand you correctly, the state has done everything and the representatives of Chevron are delaying the process of signing the operational agreement? Do I understand it correctly, that you call upon Chevron to speed up the resolution of the problematic issues and to proceed with signing? As Dmytro mentioned, the state has done everything. Yesterday, the government sent the letter to Chevron company, and now we need to wait, and within 30 days we will get the answer from Chevron, which will agree that the state has fulfilled all the obligations. We're interested in having the operational agreement which will satisfy all the parties. We're interested in signing it as soon as possible, and we're interested in starting the operations. Thank you. And our next press briefing is at 3:30.